As Commanders fans, you guys know that the current GM here at the Washington Commanders is none other than former 49ers assistant GM Adam Peters. And on today's edition of the Commanders Report, I'm going to let you know my list of 49ers players that are going to be hitting the open market either via the trade market or the free agency market this offseason that could rejoin forces with Adam Peters for the 2025 season and beyond. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Before we get into the content today, predict it for me down there in the comments section to get today's show started on the right foot. Will a former 49er player sign or be traded to the Washington Commanders this offseason? Simply give me a yes or no to get us started down there in the comments. Let's start with Deebo Samuel here, who has recently kind of explained to ESPN that, yes, he asked for a trade away from the San Francisco 49ers this offseason, and I do think that this is something here where I think the 49ers are potentially going to be giving a call to their old buddy Adam Peters to see if this could be an option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was the post that was put out by Adam Schefter a couple days ago. He said the 49ers have granted Deebo Samuel and his agent Tony Dandy permission to find a trade partner for the wide receiver. Samuel told ESPN. This comes after Samuel asked San Francisco to trade him during the players' exit meeting after the season. So the question is, should the Washington Commanders bring in Deebo Samuel? He's still on the right side of 30, but he is getting close at 29 years old. Brings good size to the table and really good functional strength at 6 foot, 215 pounds. And with the multiple running back sets that we saw Cliff Kingsbury utilize this year in the Commanders offense, I think that Deebo could be a super fun addition to this offense in those multiple running back sets. And of course, you can still use Deebo in motion as a true wide receiver, on screens, on all the stuff that Cliff Kingsbury loves to run in this Washington Commanders offense. You can take a look at my scouting report here. The play strength is really, really good. The rack ability, that's run after the catch ability, is some of the best in the National Football League, or at least it was. He kind of took a dip in that department this past year, kind of took a step back physically and athletically, but the run blocking is still top 10 in the National Football League, and he is a Swiss Army knife. You can use him as a back in the backfield. You can use him in the slot. You can use him even outside, and you can use him on screens, jet sweeps, all this different stuff. Now, if you're going to be asking him to be a route runner and separate versus man coverage, that's not what he does. It's never what he's done, and honestly, his separation and route running ability has just gotten worse and worse as the seasons have gone on, as his athleticism have begun to fade. But Jack, I saw this photo on X. He looks fat. He's out of shape. Why would the Washington Commanders want to bring in Deebo Samuel this offseason? Well, take it from me, guys. I was on Radio Row there in New Orleans, and I saw Deebo Samuel with my own eyes. And I can tell you, this brother is not fat, all right? Like, it's just a terrible angle, shot from kind of like below, and then kind of at an angle where it kind of looks like his jersey is poofing out, and it looks like he's a little bit bigger than he is. Heck, I look like, you guys see my skinny arms here, man. I would look like I'm fat from that angle, all right? So Deebo Samuel is still in playing shape. Don't, let one photo at a terrible angle completely determine how you feel about this player. He is still a legitimate NFL wide receiver that can really find a nice role if an offense is willing to use him in the right way. And I do believe Cliff Kingsbury is one of the offensive coordinators in the National Football League that would use Deebo Samuel in the correct fashion. Plus, he's not going to cost all that much on the open trade market. Plus, in terms of the cap, his cap hit if he's traded is under $2 million for the team that acquires him. Now, it is worth mentioning here that he might be looking for a new deal. All right, he is on the final year of his contract. He might be looking to lock up his future for the next 2 to 3 seasons, not just go to a new team on a one-year deal. So I do think that, if the Commanders get him, there's certainly going to have to be some conversations about a new contract, what that looks like, and if the Commanders want to commit to Deebo Samuel, an aging player that has shown some signs of regression in the years to come, if they want to lock that guy up for the next 2 to 3 seasons. But for me, guys, what I would offer, I would say around a 5th-round pick. I said the same thing for Cooper Kupp. I kind of put Deebo Samuel and Cooper Kupp in a very similar category where they're good for what they are, and they're number 2 receivers, and they can do some really good things. They're good run blockers. They're versatile. They can do some different things in terms of the jet sweeps and that kind of stuff. But I don't know if you're spending a super high draft pick to get Deebo Samuel on your team. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at ZBiotics. Before I talk about ZBiotics here, go down there in the comments section. And while I'm talking about ZBiotics, let me know your answer to this question. Would you trade a 5th-round pick for Deebo Samuel. And now let's talk about our sponsor today at Z Biotics. And as most of you guys know, if you watch this channel and you watch our live watch parties in particular, you guys know I don't drink alcohol. But I certainly work with a lot of people here at Chat Sports that drink on game days, all that different stuff. They like to go out. Lots of young guys here at the Chat Sports offices. And I'm thankful that I have Z Biotics pre-alcohol and that they have that at their disposal as a resource for them to be at their best for me and this channel, the Commanders Report, after having some fun the night before. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best the next morning. So go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS is the promo code at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head on over to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS, one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS as the promo code at checkout for 15% off Z-Biotics pre-alcohol today. Thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring today's episode of the Commanders Report. Some other 49ers to target here. Let's talk about Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker, who unfortunately has had some issues with his Achilles. He tore his Achilles in Super Bowl 58 against the Kansas City Chiefs last year's Super Bowl in Las Vegas. But right now, because he kind of missed really the entire 2024 season, his PFF projected contract is 1 year, $6 million, right? So that is a steal for somebody that has been a very, very good linebacker when he's been on the field. But obviously that injury that he suffered in the Super Bowl 2 years ago is certainly a concern, especially because he came back at the end of this season and had to leave both games with issues in his calf. So that's certainly a big question mark when it comes to Dre Greenlaw heading into 2025, but he is still 27 years old. He's still an athletic freak, which allows him to play the play-action game better than just about any linebacker in football. I will say, maybe he doesn't have quite the size to be a true middle linebacker, which is what the Washington Commanders are looking for, and because of that, I think I would pass on Dre Greenlaw personally. He does have that connection with Adam Peters, but I think that the 49ers are probably actually the most likely team to be able to go out and sign him to a new contract, just because I think teams are going to be a little bit wary to sign him after the issues he's had with his calf and his Achilles over the last couple of seasons. Then Charvarius Ward, the cornerback, is somebody that's expected to hit the open market and sign with a new team this offseason because he kind of had a down year with the 49ers this year after a good stretch of really good seasons there in the Bay. His PFF projected contract right now, not cheap. 3 years, $14.5 million. And, this is a very good player traditionally. Last year, he certainly had a down year, but he's 28 years old. He brings some good size to the table, long arms. He can play both man and zone coverage. And I think that he could be a really nice fit in Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.'s defense on the other side of Marshawn Lattimore. And it could also allow this team to put Mike Samerstrill back in the nickel spot where he was originally drafted to play. And then you can add another long physical corner on the outside to complement Marshawn Lattimore and allow this defense to play the style of defense that, frankly, Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. want to play. And with Mike Samerstrill's body type, you're not really allowed to play with his body type. So you take a look here at the recent PFF grades for Charvarius Ward, and I think that this is somebody that's gotten better throughout his career, from when he entered the league from 2019 all the way to 2023. He was doing a really good job. He was ranking in the top 6 in PFF grading in 2022 and 2023. But as I mentioned, guys, 2024 was a down year for him, ranking 93rd out of 116 cornerbacks. And I can certainly understand if you're at home right now and saying, man, I don't know if I want to pay $14.5 million for the 93rd highest graded corner in the National Football League. And I would certainly be cool with bringing in Charvarius here. year. I think he's a good scheme fit. Obviously, he's got the connection with Adam Peters, and it allows Mike Sainristil to maybe play a spot that he's more suited to play in the National Football League and maybe be a bigger impact, even though Mike had a really good season on the outside this year. But there's a lot of really good corners in the free agency class this year as well. So if they don't get Charvarius, they could certainly get DJ Reed. I think Carlton Davis would be an excellent fit here in Washington as well. Stephon Gilmore is somebody that I wanted the Commanders to get last year. I'd still be okay with them getting him this year, but certainly Ward is somebody to keep your eye on if you are a fan of the Washington Commanders because of his connection to Adam Peters. So we got a couple more players that we need to talk about here on the show, but make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you're having a good time right here on the Commanders Report, liking that video really does help us out, guys, because it tells the YouTube algorithm that Commanders fans are enjoying our content and that they should push this out to other Commanders fans like yourselves. So liking the video actually helps us grow this channel quite significantly. So if you want to help us out, help this community out, click that thumbs up icon. It takes a half second of your time. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, now let's talk about two guards, interior linemen, that could potentially be options for the Commanders this year as well. Aaron Banks, who started and has started for the 49ers the last two seasons, and then John Feliciano, who missed the entire 2024 season with a knee injury. Banks right now, according to Pro Football Focus, is expected to get a 3-year, $8.5 million per season contract this offseason. And honestly, guys, I think that's about right. Banks is just an all right starting guard in the league, kind of borderline starter. I think right now, honestly, I would kind of pass on Aaron Banks. I'd be fine with him, but he's kind of in the same tier of guy as maybe a Nick Allegretti, and I think I'd rather get a true upgrade at the position if you're going to replace Allegretti this offseason. Then when it comes to John Feliciano, who had a really good 2023 campaign with the San Francisco 49ers, made it all the way to the Super Bowl, was a top 5 PFF grader last year. He did not play in 2024 because of a knee injury suffered early on in the season process. So he's certainly somebody that's going to be coming off a major hurdle in his career. He's certainly not getting any younger either. So there's a lot of question marks about surrounding Feliciano, so I'm not sure how much of a fit this one would be either. But then Talonia Hufanga, hope I'm saying that right, Talanoa Hufanga. There we go, producer Coop. But Hufanga is one of my favorite players to watch in the National Football League. He's always around the ball. And, I really like that quality in players. He's a free safety. But, of course, here in Washington, we had Quan Martin as the free safety for the Washington Commanders. But also Martin played a lot in the slot in college. He kind of played a lot of both in his collegiate career, and he was kind of drafted by the previous regime to play a little bit of both. So what if, you get Hufanga and then, maybe you keep Sainristil on the outside and then you put Quan Martin in the slot? That's certainly another possibility that the Washington Commanders could have at their disposal. Now, I think Quan actually played pretty well at free safety, so maybe you don't want to rock the boat at that position. Certainly understand that. And also Mike Sainristil was drafted to play in the nickel as well, so maybe you want to move him into that spot and not Quan Martin. But if you want that possibility and you really like Hufanga as a player and you want to bring him in, it's certainly a possibility to put Quan Martin in the slot position as well. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Which 49ers player on today's list that we talked about today would you most want to acquire? Do you want Charvarius Ward? Do you want Hufanga? Do you want Deebo Samuel? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. For me personally, I would love to see what Deebo Samuel could do in this offense, especially for the right price. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We made it to the end of today's edition of the Commanders Report. We've got more great Commanders content coming your way all throughout the 2025 offseason. So if you don't want to miss any of that, click that subscribe button right now.